Hello everyone! Welcome to the Osuming 7K World Cup 2026. And for this one, we're going to be starting very early actually, as we're going to be having a match literally just right now, in which we're going to be having two teams facing each other. I believe it's going to be Australia versus Ireland. By the way, this is Lively Peninsula, also known as Siluas Kaels, and joining me on the commentary booth, his debut match on commentating, by the way, at least match-wise, Epic Man 2. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hello! Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction right there, Lively Peninsula. And yeah, this is quite a bit of a UFO sighting as opposed to when it comes to most World Cup matches that I've seen, where this is literally a match on a Thursday as opposed to, you know, Friday at earliest. But we're basically here now. We have a Thursday match all at 9 UTC, and it's going to be in between none other than Australia seed 8 and Ireland seed 25. Both these teams made it out of the qualifiers, and this is going to be the first of many round of 32 matches that we've got in store for you all today.
Thanks so much for that. Okay, so looking at both teams, it's actually seed 8 and seed 25 is a pretty big difference. Although differences like this is kind of expected when it comes to round of 32, and I mean, this is where you just basically get to see which teams are able to advance further into the winner's bracket from their first match. And everything here, at least matches-wise, will be based on your qualifier seeding. Honestly speaking, though, if I were to look at Australia and Ireland, I'm not entirely sure what Ireland can use to their advantage, because Australia pretty much has a big advantage on all of them. I guess the closest I'm going to see is Rice 3, and I believe Rice 4. Yeah, those are the closest seeds for Australia and Ireland. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the chances of that because the gap on everything else is really big. And that's not good news, especially for a match like this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially when you are in the position of Ireland and you're literally facing one of the bigger teams within this tournament alone, especially with the fact that these are both teams that basically gain an additional edge to their forte following the previous year, where for Australia, they basically had the addition of Ox4, which basically elevated them into becoming a lot stronger as a team overall, and that basically pushed them to become that of the highest seeds possible, whereas Ireland basically got that of Vigatron, who was originally playing in the UK team, basically coinciding incredibly well with the likes of Uzi formerly, and basically the strongest two-man team that they had for quite a while that was. So seeing Vigatron sporting that of the Irish is definitely a really interesting move to me, in my opinion, and I think, like, based on the statistics that I've seen thus far, Vigatron actually does have some things up his sleeve where they actually can at least try and contest against the likes of Octor on, like, maybe mid-game Rice or LN, for example. However, I feel that what the biggest issue with Ireland is that it's really just about the team consistency, for example, because they have the likes of Ranshu, who does struggle to actually try and keep up with the likes of Vigatron in comparison.
That is fair. Although, you did forget to mention the bans, so both Ireland and Australia banning LN. I guess trying to avoid those skill sets, because if we're looking at the roster right now, I don't see Oct4 playing, so maybe that's why Australia opted to ban an LN pick, because I believe Oct4 is pretty proficient in that. That being said though, I believe the pick was EX1, and an EX pick makes sense. Trying to gap players on like harder picks early on is a valid strategy. A lot of stronger teams do that to lower seeded teams. But that being said, Lynx are finding the first drop. I mean, Ireland's still keeping the two-way full combo. Willow may be holding the full combo, but that accuracy is not helping Australia's case at all.
Oh, wait, that's actually really interesting. Australia's first pick, and they are basically into their first match of the entire World Cup, and somehow it does look like Willow is the first one to drop. Responded then by Ranshi, however, as the scoreline does go back to the 0 mark, or going back into the field of the Australians here. However, we're only about halfway into the map. Seeing that Willow is kind of just like plummeting their accuracy, they do manage to recover quite well. We're getting back to about 1,400 points or so. 1,400 of combo for the time being. 2,000 points in the favor of Australia remains. and there's still quite a lot of the map left to go. This is a very core stream oriented map with a lot of double stairs that are kind of incorporated with Foster bursts as well. So I definitely would imagine that multiple players would kind of find the tendency to struggle within picks such as these, but it doesn't seem like Australia is doing. Oh my god, right as I said that. Oh no.
Well, that's very unfortunate. And because Ireland will have the consistency advantage, especially if you look at the full combos that both teams have, Vigatron, despite the flashlight mod there, which can be deceiving to some people, but flashlight can actually help players. There are some players who really specialize in the flashlight mod. And Vigatron's definitely one of them. I believe in the past, Vigatron has always played with flashlight. And now, the time is running out. With all of the stairs that we're seeing, I think Ireland might actually be able to take this because the consistency is going to be a problem from here on out with all the time that's left. And the lead's just growing. Willow's accuracy is getting lower. Like what I mentioned, it's the Rice patterns being a bit hard. Wow, I think Ireland is going to be able to take their first point. Willow and Ratchet trade misses, but it does not matter.
It was just that final trade to be able to stick it in the middle. A sore farm from the side of Australia as the first point goes dramatically into the side of Ireland for the first point. A really unexpected turn of events to start this match off. A bit of a bold impression that Ireland is looking to set here, and especially with the fact that this is a break point coming out of Australia, this does look like Ireland is put into the driver's seat for a temporary amount of time coming out of the parking lot as they have the luxury of the next pick, which is going to be none other than Rice Free. It's going to be this map. Hello. Sayonara. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. You win an EX pick that's Rice-oriented. Why not go for something Rice-oriented in return again? It makes a lot of sense. Especially considering with the team composition right now. I think if they're gonna go with this route, they're gonna have to try and exhaust all of the Rices as much as possible. And I think Australia, in the other hand, would probably have to pick the Ellens and Hybrids, because losing a pick like that is actually a pretty bad sign. Especially that two Ellens were banned in this match too.
Yeah, it doesn't look like either team is really that confident when it comes to Ellen maps, which definitely makes the most sense. I mean, especially for Australia, I think it's really just like they perhaps don't really have the weaponry that they need to bring into the battlefield when it comes to Ellens just for the time being, because this is a bit of an awkward time either way. Like, I definitely would assume that there was going to be some side effects that both teams would definitely have, but... Oh, what was that from Vigatron?
I think, oh, wait, is there an abort?
Abort? Mayhaps?
I think an abort is supposed to be happening anytime now.
Alright, just a few more seconds. Hopefully we'll get it.
I have no idea what's happening. Why has there been no abort yet? Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay, alright, let's go.
Yeah, there's an abort. Wait a minute. Huh, you know, no, looking at it, it didn't restart. Oh, okay, so I think what happened was there was like a mod that was accidentally removed, which I am gonna be assuming is the flashlight mod.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
well, I guess
really interesting.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a reminder to everyone to pay attention to the mods that are present. I'm pretty sure this might be something that we aren't aware at the beginning. So it's a great thing to know now that mods will always be restarted. Given that flashlight really makes them probably, at this point, flashlight isn't like limiting the reading, it's literally helping how to read the notes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when you condense the fact that you gotta look at, like, literally just maybe 10 centimeters of the playfield, for example, that basically just allows, like, certain players to be able to focus on the notes a lot better, even if it's with slower scroll speed. I've seen a lot of players that have played a ton with lane cover in the past, and, like, even various VSRGs, for example. So it definitely makes a little more sense that there's even players in 7Key that kind of branch that type of strategy to make sure that they can actually play it. And as we can see, it's benefiting Vigatron a hell of amount, as it does look like Ireland is in with a very, very early advantage as well, about 12,000 points for the time being, as Australia is actually kind of struggling a bit. Namely, Willow's actually kind of plummeting down adjacent to that of the EX1 pick that we had just earlier on, and this is a really short map as well, so this is going to be a really detrimental one for Australia, because this is really like one of those quick time events in JRPGs, for example, where you really just need to ensure that you can win a pick that is this short, like as fast as possible, because any mistake can really just become that crucial.
Yeah, that's the problem. And like, you know what? I just realized with Linksar finding that drop too, Ireland, like in the previous pick, they were able to hold off that consistency for a while. And I think the reason why Australia even kept it closer than this pick was because that pick was harder compared to the rest of the pool. And now that we're seeing like a chart that's on the equivalent of a round of 32 chart, Ireland's just gonna be able to keep up even better. Also, when you see it.
Bro, of course you gotta bring it up. It is not a World Cup match without at least one of these really funny community references from maybe 10 years ago at this point. Shoutouts Cookiesy, I guess. And yeah, Ireland is up 2-0 for the time being. And it does look like Linksar is going to be up. Linksar is opting in for Rice 5 as a response. I'm not entirely sure about this pick.
Yeah, I actually don't like this pick either. Like, normally when you lose 2 Rice picks in a row, you try to do something different. Not to mention, this pick, I mean, I was expecting Australia to pick an EX pick again. Because at least in that EX pick, it was like a lot closer than the one that we just saw recently. So this one is a really surprising pick for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially with Australia, I know that they are basically one of the top leagues in this tournament. They have shown, and especially like Linksar, if not for Oct 4, has shown that they do have some pros within more physical picks, which definitely can catch the likes of Vikatron out, and especially Ranchi as well, from what I know. Vikatron taking the first miss here, as that brings a very early lead to the side of Australia, but it's a very unsafe one at the same time. That basically just like feels like they're probably trying to save the EX picks for later, but at the same time, it is honestly like kind of arbitrary because of the fact that you barely have any picks to win in a round of 32. You need to win like 5 maps in a best of 9.
What was that? What was that?
What was that?
What? Oh, no. Unfortunately, that was already past the 30-second counter too, so I don't know if this could be counted for an abort. But we'll have to see what happens. And like, okay, considering that Willow continued playing, there was no request for an abort at all, so okay, that is very tragic for Australia. But I think Linksar probably isn't aware of that and just has to keep the combo up and hope that something catastrophic happens to the Irish team here.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like, for the case of Linksar here, they're probably banking on someone like Ranchi to potentially reciprocate that of what Willow went through, where it's just like, they just let go of the keyboard for about 10 seconds or so of the map. And that definitely would put them into a pretty okay state if that were to actually hypothetically happen. But at the same time, Ranchi, despite the odds that were against Ireland potentially going into a match like this against Australia, it doesn't look like it is likely at all to happen, if anything, especially with the 2 minutes marker being close to be met.
That's so unfortunate too, because Ranchi found a drop, and Vikatron's accuracy is actually a lot lower than Linksar too. I mean, this pick could have definitely worked, but especially with Willow missing 1 time as well, I think, yeah, this is the problem. I think either way without that, and there we go, I think either way, even without that, like, unfortunate thing that happened to Willow, I think Ireland would have still taken this, although very, very slightly. I mean, it's very unfortunate. I would know something like this because this happened to me like a few years ago. So it's a very unfortunate thing to Australia, but it's definitely not over. And hitting the Windows key. Okay, yeah. I know exactly how this feels like, and it's very unfortunate. But you gotta remember, it's 3-0. It's not... No one has gotten 5 points yet. And Australia, being the 8th seed, I know that they have more opportunities to catch up than, let's say, if Ireland was down 3-0. So it's definitely not over yet for Australia here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if Ireland was to win another point going into now, that would only initiate the double ban phase as introduced in this tournament, where both these teams need to ban an additional map to ensure, like, or at least to proceed with the rest of the match. I mean, it really happens around the fourth map one in the match between, like, either of these players, and Ireland's only a point away from being able to reach that state in the match alone. So I think, in a way, Australia could probably capitalize that, if not winning any picks from here. But they go Vice again, or at least Ireland's going to be picking out their Protect, going to be Vice. A really straightforward Protect, and definitely based on the Rice maps that we have been seeing in this map pool alone, or this round particularly, it definitely makes the most sense to be picked out, considering that this is a really consistency-oriented map overall that Ireland would probably, I'd imagine Ireland would do well on, really.
Very risky pick, but here's the thing. At least from how I'm seeing this, Australia has more like free reign on what to pick, meaning that they're able to pick the hybrids, the LNs, and the EX picks more comfortably, while Ireland pretty much has to bank on those Rice picks altogether. Because the thing is, when you have like a low seed, chances are you're going to be okay on the Rice picks, but the LNs and hybrids are going to be slightly like lesser compared to the higher seeds. So I think Australia just in general has more free reign on what they can pick. So I think either way, Ireland's just pretty much locked to those Rice picks right now. And obviously Ireland doesn't want to lose that 3-0 lead very soon.
Exactly. I mean, especially if you're Ireland, this is your first entry in any of the World Cups overall as a team that's actually playing, for example. So it definitely makes sense that you would at least want to immediately start shredding, because you're going to be against a lot of really formidable teams and countries in general that just have a ton of reputation to their name. Basically like one of those like wanted posters in One Piece, for example, where their names are literally just worth about $3 billion or something like that among those lines. And that's definitely like what Ireland is looking to do here, trying to take on the likes of Australia. Ranchi takes the first drop, however, not going to be looking too comfortable. Full combo reset on the side of Vigatron, as well as both combos are gone from Ireland. And no one in Australia has missed already. Huh.
Well, okay. I was really thinking that. Okay, I do apologize for that. My internet's going down, but back to what I was saying. I was thinking this was like one of the only picks Ireland could have really stuck to.
Yeah, and it seems like Australia is actually trying to fight back now. They got about 20,000 points of a lead going off of the various misses that Ireland take. That does make me question as to why Ireland kind of went out of their way to protect a map such as Vice, for example, because of the fact that if you're going to protect the map, then you should at least set the impression that you basically know what you're going to be doing. Like, it kind of just feels kind of faulty to kind of go out of your way to protect a map that you know is probably not in your best of favors, but who knows? I mean, this probably could have been a hypothetical alternative universe where Ireland did just shred this pick as much as the other ones, for example. So, I don't know, off the top of my head.
Well, it's very okay. Accuracy-wise, I'm pretty sure it was close. And if let's take a look at the ratios real quick. Okay, yeah, Vigatron would have had a V1 I mean, ratio-wise, Ireland actually had the better one, but the full combos Australia had was more than enough just to take it. Oh, alright. Oh, okay, so now we're gonna be reaching. I think there's a second ban phase here. All right, so let's just wait and see what they're going to be banning now. I'm honestly, like, this pick was very big for Australia. Like, winning 1 point and stopping the bleeding a little bit. I have a feeling Australia's gotta ban a Rice pick. It's gotta be Rice 1 at this point.
Yeah, I think for Australia, they need to ban at least one rice pick. It's better to at least have one rice pick banned than at least having to bleed more points than any of them, because we've seen Ireland throughout this entire match just sticking to the rice map without really showing too much of a weakness until we saw Vice. So I think if we get a ban on something like Bloody Mary, for example, then that's gonna like make the most sense for Australia, for example. And for Ireland, I would imagine they probably don't want to play any of the other picks, for example. So with most of the Ellens banned, they haven't even played any of the hybrids so far. So I'd imagine that, like, if it does come down to Australia trying to bring themselves back into the field, or the battlefield, really, I'd imagine that Ireland's probably going to have to try and force their ways into the hybrids. Perhaps some of the more rice-oriented hybrids, for example. But it does look like EX2 gets the ban instead. That doesn't feel right.
That's a very strange ban. And EX, I mean, okay, Ireland bans it correctly. I mean, this is such a strange ban, in my opinion. They should have probably banned Rice 1. Especially considering how Ireland has been able to keep up with them heavy on the earlier picks. I don't like that pick. I mean, their closest win, okay, the closest like difference when Ireland and Australia faced, like among the points that Australia lost, was on EX1. And now Australia's picking Rice too. I don't know. I don't like this, actually.
Why is Australia picking into... This is kind of like... It kind of basically is just history repeating itself. I mean, we literally had Australia just picking out Rice 5, and we were kind of alluding to that it was a bit of a weird pick, because we saw what happened. We saw, like, literally what went down in this situation. It was pretty crazy. The headlines were all over the place and all that, and you're only just, like, going back to that same scenario, or you're only reopening a wound that you literally just cut open, like, literally, not even a few minutes ago in the match, and that's honestly a bit of a blunder from the side of Australia. I don't feel like this is the best possible decision you could go for in a match like this, when everything you've lost was all on a rice pick. You know that Ireland is able to at least show their prowess on maps like these. So why do you continue to try and push your luck to the fullest extent with these instead of trying to branch out, for example? That's kind of my question.
Agree. I was really question. I really think this is a questionable pick, and also not to mention a questionable ban. Especially since Ireland, I was thinking we're gonna ban an EX pick either way. But now, can't really do anything about that, and just hope that the picks work on their favor. And with the way this chart goes, I don't think this is a good pick from Australia. I mean, we saw how EX1 went, and now you're picking something like that as on a more comfortable like way too, because this one is more fitted to round of 32. So really, just a questionable pick altogether here.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the fact that it's essentially adjacent to that of being rice-free, albeit it's a lot slower, and the patterns are just a lot denser. As you see, we get some thicker chords in general for when it comes to the more emphasized instruments, such as the kicks and the snares, for example, as you'd expect from most Cygnus songs, for example. And especially here, it doesn't really look like Ireland's really giving it up all in this pick so far. This is only 2.5 minutes, just about, in length, and so far we've seen Willow struggle with this just as much as so far, and it does look like there is a combo reset in Ireland, so maybe there is at least a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel, as in contrarian to what the sun in the background shows. But at the same time, maybe there is something that Australia can pull out of here, like right now if they really wanted to, if Willow doesn't choke on it for the time being.
It's very close, it's very close. The difference between Ranchi and Willow is getting closer, and the difference between Lixar and Vigatron is getting bigger. So this lead is going to get really small anytime soon. Ireland's gotta stop the bleeding now, because Australia is just right behind their necks. Oh my goodness, it's gonna flip so many times here. But Willow
here we go. Always straight it out. Okay.
It's not over yet. But I think the accuracy difference from Ranchi is just more than enough. Vigatron drops now!
Vigatron drops! That's it! This is exactly what Australia needed! But can they hang it? Can they hold on?
I think that does it.
my god.
That's gonna do it. That's
No
gonna do
way.
it.
They did it!
1,000 points. Wow.
Huh. Okay, Australia was really lucky to be able to scrape such a score like that out of the blue. Lynx are getting a really good score, top scoring in the whole lobby with 992k, and only 402 perfects on a map like this, which is really good. Definitely very impressionable to at least take another breakpoint out of one of the Rice picks, for example. So, as much as this was like initially questionable for us, it did turn out to go well for Australia in the end. So, it does look like Ireland is going to be responding next with Hybrid 2, as there is only really one Rice map left, and that is the more kind of stream index delay oriented map. And I assume that Ireland wants to save that for perhaps slightly later to at least even out everything. I think they'll probably just use that pick as a break in case of emergency type of map in question against Australia.
Yeah, I think it's way too soon to go into Rice 1. Definitely way too soon.
As we go into Iridori Canvas, this is Hybrid 2. So basically, to be able to give a bit of a brief description, this is the faster hybrid out of all the other hybrids that we got so far. It is a lot faster, and it also has a lot of Rice streams alongside these LNs, so I think there is at least some sense as to why Ireland would pick into this as a potential opposite or alternative to the remaining Rice map, for example. I think the only question I would have then is how exactly will they be able to go about it? It does look like Willow takes the first drop, but this is also a really short map as well, just about the same length of Rice 2 even.
I mean, there's a reason why Australia hasn't been picking the hybrids and the LNs either. And now that Ireland is kind of like on the backs, and I agree, you shouldn't be wasting that Rice 1 pick this early. Now they're probably trying to see how well Australia does, and let's say LN and Rice mixed together. So this is going to be some valuable information from Ireland, because they still have the lead right now, although, like, in terms of points, I mean, they still have the lead, but they could easily lose this. I mean, it's really just the accuracy of Australia. That's the reason why they have the advantage right now.
Yeah, exactly. Just the fact that Australia is actually managing to keep up with Ireland now that we've gone past the second ban phase as introduced in this tournament, they are actually starting to pull their own weight a bit, and that's actually really providing some valuable or beneficial results for the side of Australia in general against the likes of Ireland, which is honestly a really unexpected matchup, especially this early on a really interesting time in question. I think it's really just the absence of Oct 4 so far that's kind of just led to Australia being in a bit of a more endangered position. Oh! What the heck?
I was about to say they traded, but what just happened? Lynx are... Wait, was that client? No, sorry, I'm just in disbelief that the trade was like that. No, it looks to be legit. Lynx are in Willow with the full team reset. Despite the ramp she missed, it's not gonna matter as long as Ireland holds on. Willow drops
what a one! Another miss comes out from Willow. This could probably be it for the side of Australia. They have been looking solid throughout this whole map, but Vivatron's just the only one in the entire lobby with the FC for the time being, reaching that near 3,000 combo mark in the entire map. This is sure, as we've mentioned before, and if it does come down to this pick being won by the Irish, it's going to be 4-2 for the side of Ireland for now. Match point for Ireland, and honestly, really dangerous place for Australia to lose a point as well.
Yeah, wow, Ireland's accuracy was worse in general, but they held on for so long. Ranchi did a great job as well, making sure not to miss much more despite having the highest number of 200 counts. It was more than enough to keep Ireland afloat. Man, they're really making Australia put the work in. Now it's Rice. What? Huh? I don't know. I don't know what to feel about this thing.
Yeah. This is. I think Ireland is probably in one of those situations, or they're probably feeling as if they can pretty much just win anything at this point and just simply get it out of the match because I feel like realistically Ireland wants to get out of this match as soon as possible against the likes of Australia, just before we see any monsters break out of containment from the chambers, for example. And I think in this case, this is honestly a really risky pick because if it does come down to Australia actually winning this pick instead, as we've seen from other breakpoints that Australia won off of the Irish so far in the Rice Pool, this is going to pressure Ireland really bad if it does come down to this pick not being won. So if anything, Ireland needs to win this map if they want to make sure that they just don't lose the match, because they are going to be a lot more prone to disaster in the other picks if it does come down to this one not being won.
Really is going to be down to the wire, but it's not going to be very close if Ireland can keep this accuracy up afloat against Australia. I mean, but Ranchi finds a drop, okay. Definitely not over yet. Oh, but that's a very careless miss there. You saw that, like it wasn't even on the stream.
Oh my god, no!
And now Australia has a chance to advance this lead even further, but we've seen a lot of lead changes in this match, at least for like the past couple of picks. So it's definitely not out of the water yet. I mean, in the previous pick, literally, Australia had the lead and then... Oh,
no! Well, you're kidding! Marshall misses as well!
It's gonna extend, I think, here.
Oh no. This is exactly what I was saying. Like, Ireland needed to win this pick as if they could, but if both players, if there is a combo reset from both Ranchi and Vicron, that basically is it for this pick, unless we see something for both Ligstar and Willow responding and reciprocating those mistakes as well, because there's only really about less than 20 seconds of the map remaining. This is one of the shortest picks we got, only 2 minutes. 2 seconds shy of 2 minutes in general. If they lose this pick, Australia just is going to try and use whatever they can, because if it does come down to winning this pick, they're only 1 point away from forcing tiebreaker against them.
Yeah. You know, this is a very, very interesting situation. And again, Ireland has the better accuracy overall, at least ratio-wise, but Australia held it together. Look at that 150 from Will. Like, that could have easily been a miss if they weren't careful. But also, Ligstar with an extremely good performance. 993 carry, 1,200 only. Really carrying the Australians ahead on this pick. And now it's going to be Ireland's choice. If I were Ireland, I'd probably take a timeout. But with all the picks that are left, I think it's got to be Hybrid 1. I think it's Hybrid 1.
Yeah, it definitely has to be Hybrid 1, because I'd imagine that LN3 and Hybrid 3 are honestly just way too risky. These are the only few maps that you have remaining in the map pool. So if you are in the position of Ireland, you just simply want to get out of the match as soon as possible. No buts, no whatever. You just want to make sure that you just finish the match as soon as possible. Hybrid 1 gets the pick after all, and now it's really going to have to boil down to Ireland preventing the tiebreaker for the very first match of the 7K Oceania World Cup in 2026. Midnight Driving is the pick, and honestly, there couldn't have been a better time for this match to be thrown out as well.
I agree. If you want to see Australia take this to tiebreaker, if you want to see a tiebreaker in general, show your support in chat right now. But if you want to see Ireland make a historic victory right now, show your support in the chat as well, because every one of these players are gonna need it. They've been really pushing each other to the limit, and I'm getting really nervous myself.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what we have been expecting of the 7K World Cup this year, especially with this one being one of the biggest iterations since 2016. 10 years ago, and it took 10 years for us to bring it back. Willow takes a really early drop, and so far, no one on Ireland is responding with any similar mistakes. Willow not so confident when it comes to trying to control the LN patterns, and now it's about 20,000 points in the advantage of the Irish. Once again, 2 minutes and 13 seconds the length of the map. We're already a quarter in through the course of this chart.
That was so early as well. And Willow just missed 3 times in a row, but I think Ranchi actually traded it, so it's not over yet. But the accuracy difference between them is getting closer. And with the nature of this chart, I really hope Willow gets to hold it together, because there isn't going to be any free parts here, and Linksar has to just do what they've been doing since before, just leading Australia to whatever heights they can reach, because Vigatron is just right there again. This lead is getting closer and closer, I think off the back of Ranchi dropping accuracy, but that's a full team miss from Australia!
Okay, no, that is honestly one of the most brutal drops that Australia could have taken, and that is only going to at least bring it close to guaranteeing a win for Ireland, because Australia has been looking to try and at least fight for at least forcing a tiebreaker if they didn't want to go out this early, because otherwise this would have been one of the craziest upsets to start this whole tournament off with. Ireland still has so much potential to showcase, and this is literally their only first match as well in the entire 7-key iteration, or the entire 7-key franchise, which has been on for about 12 years at this point. If they win this for their first pick, this is going to be one of the most insane situations that the Irish could have at least gone through, and at least something that they're probably going to remember for years to come even.
Just like that, as you said, that guarantees a victory. Ireland with the massive upset on this match, getting 5-3 against Australia. Vigatron taking that MVP of this pick. Wow, what a match! Despite Australia not having Ock4, man, they really gave a good fight here.
Whew, that is honestly some insane showing from Ireland. Their first ever appearance in any of the World Cups, and they immediately start shredding like there's no tomorrow. Once again, both these teams have made it out the qualifiers, and Ireland is the first one to actually take a pick at the likes of Australia to start things off, even with like a bit of an arbitrary schedule, as I have pointed to earlier on. They actually use that to their advantage and punched their ticket into the round of 16 to face between the United States or the Netherlands. And that is honestly a tale to be told. A really insane victory for Ireland to start everything off, and they're not even done yet. This is literally only the first ever match of the entire tournament, and we already result in potentially one of the biggest upsets in this tournament already. Seed 25 winning against Seed 8. That's just unheard of here.
Yeah, that's definitely a massive upset. It's actually crazy to see that, especially in the very first match, Ireland really made sure to keep their picks and perform at their best. And just like that, they were able to get a 5-3 victory against Australia. I mean, here's the thing though. Since it's the very first match, no teams are going to be eliminated. I just really think though, whoever is going to be the country that's gonna face Australia in the loser's bracket for a round of 16, I don't think they're gonna have a good time there. Because Australia is like one of the best teams in this tournament, easily.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you do have the full roster of Australia come in for the match, then I definitely feel like they're going to be one of the most insane teams to at least be going against in the losers bracket, and everyone's going to start fearing their names. So, but once again, congratulations to both these teams, and as very big commiserations to the side of the Irish for their first ever match in the World Cups and setting potentially one of the biggest bold impressions that we could have had in the 7Q World Cup so far. I just wish there was maybe a way to support at least some of these teams, you know? Like, the fact that we've seen this team just do well, and I think they deserve a little more, you know?
Yeah, you know, we need to support these teams. I mean, you know, you could just purchase the banners, and they'll be here for the entirety of the tournament. But if your country wins the tournament, then you'll be able to keep it for the rest of the year, I'm pretty sure. And by the way, yeah. I also want to say this, but you know, just in case, you can actually buy all 32 banners. It's gonna stack up really. It's gonna stack up all in your profile. I think it's possible, but yeah, I just wanted to say that. Just imagine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, each banner in these World Cups only costs about $2.50, so that's $2.50. So if you times that by 32, you get $80 to spend. That's
that's
basically,
quick,
yeah, that's
quick
honestly a
math.
fair pricing for like every team that you want to support possible. And if you want to spend
But
amount of money, then you may as well go for it. You may as well just take that gamble if you really want to. I mean, that's to show your love for the world, I guess.
so now we're going to be waiting for the next match. It's going to be 2 days from now at 9C, which is fair because we are starting at a Thursday after all. So, Russia versus New Zealand. I do hope to see everyone here. Is there anything else you want to say, Epic Man 2, before we close this out?
Chicken burger? I don't know.
Well, yeah. Look, chicken. Okay, but oh my gosh, I'm hungry. I'm hungry right now. But anyways, that is
Yeah.
all for today. As right now, we're just gonna be waiting for the weekend to have all of the matches all for you. We are hoping to see everyone there once again. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to the stream. Thank you, Epic Man 2, for commentating, and see you all around for the next matches of this tournament.
Yeah, thank you all so much once again for joining this stream, and we will see you all in 47 hours for Russian Federation versus New Zealand. Be there, be square, and thank you all so much for today. Take care. Bye-bye.